This filters of perception model was just my way of trying to explain what we're doing when we're working with a multisensory system. When you're in utero, you are in this contained environment, it's pressurized. You have everything that you need. You don't have to go find it for yourself, and you're safe. There are sounds coming in through the environment, and the thing that is fully developed when you come out of the womb is your auditory system. Your auditory system from the beginning is a deeply emotional connection. It has nothing to do with words or meanings, it's just feeling. And so when I ask you to listen from the front surface of your spine, you're going back to that depth of feeling, and you're using the bone conduction of your own body to receive and listen to someone's vocalization, to their sounds, to their vibration. There's a connection that happens all the way from the beginning, and that continues to happen through life if you let it. So once you come out of that pressurized environment, everything changes like in a big way. You're not held anymore. There's all this noise, there's all this light. You start to move with less support. And the support that you get is the holding. And as you're held, you start to understand and feel the dimensions of yourself. And as you learn to stand, you start to learn to use gravity as a way of holding. And you felt that when you went into the three keys, the sensing posture. It's a different form of being held, and being held by the earth, and being held from the inside. You take that externalized holding and it's transmuted into an internalized standing on your own 2 feet. Independence, agency. As we develop, what happens is we're born prematurely. We cannot function on our own. We need to bond. Our physical survival signals get enmeshed with emotional survival signals. And those could get very distorted depending on your relationships. And what we are doing here is we're trying to untangle that. It's incredible what the body can do to survive, but you're not really in charge of that. What you are in charge of is your emotional survival. And if you can be with the body and feel how it can support you, feel how you can listen to the environment and connect to the environment, both auditorily and visually, those things come together to create a feeling of the present moments that is nourishing. And so that you can have a little distance from the emotional survival mechanisms that run a lot of your behavior. Does that make sense so far? So that's why the book is set up around those messages. So there's 6 messages in the book that are associated with the exercises, because the exercises aren't doing exercises. I got to do my 3 keys. I got to do my elastic breath. They are experiments for you to understand and internalize a concept. You're not a robot and just picking things and not knowing what you're doing or why you're doing it. I'm trying to give you a bigger understanding of how a human develops from in utero into standing and walking, what that means emotionally, and what that means to emotional protection mechanisms that live in your system. So 2 main things: standing, moving forward. Those are functions of a mature system. Not so easy for a 5-year-old to do that because they don't have the fully developed core structure. There are certain core structures that actually don't mature until they go through puberty. And then there's the core structure of your prefrontal cortex that doesn't mature until you get to, now they're saying, even into early 30s. It takes a while. We are born prematurely. That's why there's this entanglement and enmeshment, which is necessary. You can't cognate everything. You don't have the right language. You don't have the life experiences. So they are married. And right now, at our time of living, for most of us, we're going through a secondary puberty. It's going in the reverse. And there are a lot of changes happening, and we can't rely on the drive that used to drive us. Now it's more intention. So once you're in standing, and standing takes a while to learn, while you're learning to navigate the world before you can stand, before you have language, you're navigating the world, moving towards something because I'm curious and I want to, or moving away from something because I need to protect myself, I'm scared, I'm averse to what's there. That's the two choices you have, move towards or away. And that is encoded on an emotional level. It's nonverbal. The emotion gets coded first by touch, by the sounds that you've already have coming out, and then how they're reinforced. Are they soft sounds or are they harsh sounds? Are they comforting sounds? Do I feel safe? Do I feel like when I'm crying and hungry that I get fed? All of those things happen on a very early baby can't move myself level. Then as you learn to roll around on the floor, you start to learn things when you're on your tummy. You start to learn a lot of agency when you're on your tummy. And you start to learn how to navigate the weight of your head. You start to learn that you have two body halves. You start to learn the relationship between your interests and how your body moves to move towards your interests or not. You learn how to roll over and take weights on one side versus the other. And then you learn contralateral movement through crawling. You learn how to move towards what you're interested in because now you have more agency. You're not just being held and carried around. You can move yourself. Then when you stand on your own 2 feet, that's such a big shift, such an explosive neurological moments where your hands are free. Your hands are free and you can move at the same time, and you can explore and you can touch and you can connect. So that there's a level of development that happens in your family system. How do I connect with my environment, with the other people? How do I share? How do I learn this interpersonal relationship that's happening at the same time as I'm learning my own internal relationship with gravity through standing? And then you go out into your world. You also have the culture of your family, but then you have the culture that you grow up in, and that impacts how you carry yourself, how you feel seen, how you start to get self-conscious, and how your actions in the larger world are received, and how that impresses upon you who you believe yourself to be. And then obviously there's a bigger thing of generation. You know, we were born in a certain generation and we have certain reference points, but then we're also living at an age where things are dissolving and changing so rapidly. How do you find yourself in that changing environment? So all of these things impact how safe we feel emotionally. If you drop back down to the core of yourself, there's a concept called core affect by James A. Russell. He's a psychologist who came up with that term. He talks about like body signals of just two dimensions. The valence is good or bad in terms of negative or positive, how we perceive it. And then it's energized is high energy or low energy. So that's the grid for him. And amongst those things, what we call emotions have those dimensions, and we attribute meaning to those emotions. The core affect comes from this universal body, which is the skeleton standing on earth connected by ligaments. Just structurally, that's the core affect. Skeleton, ligaments, the fascia that wraps it, the diaphragms that create the central column of support, and all the muscles and everything else support that. As you go into what I call your universal body and feel these deep changes and feel free and feel expansive, you are accessing the present moment on a larger scale. You're accessing the present moment of your humanity, of your human system, not your personal system that is encoded through these filters, but your human system that we all share. And when you drop into your humanity, it's much easier to connect with other people in theirs. You're listening from a different place. The moment is expanded. The communication can come from a deeper place, a place of power, a place of your internally possessed power. So the title of the book, When Things Stick, Untangle Your Body from Old Patterns, the premise is that this core system it's really running on patterns. Our thoughts and our thinking run on patterns. And that pattern is there to save energy, to conserve energy. So it's a very neutral thing. It doesn't have it out for you, right? So your body can be a resource. It's just a lot of sensory information and signaling that you can generate yourself to create support, power without strain, ease, the feeling that you're not stuck, that you can move forward, that you could take up your space, and that you can move with intention.